Hello, it's Wednesday, halfway through the week again, boys and girls. Lots of little birthday messages from for both Joyce and Marge from people yesterday. Mary Flick says, happy birthday to you both. Eloise says, Chris, you never fail to make me laugh. Happy birthday to Joyce and Marge. I would love to join the karaoke group with Mary and Wendy. So I think we might at some point have a little outing to one of my karaoke nights. Do bring Barry with you. Brandon says, happy birthday to Joyce and Marge. I did love the display of porridge boxes. I love neatness. Oh, I can imagine your place, Brandon. I bet if I was to come around your place for a cup of tea, Brandon, you know, every time I got up to go to the toilet or something like that, you'd be puffing up the cushions, wouldn't you? You would be puffing up the cushions. He says, I will come to one of your karaoke nights at some point, but I will hide behind your karaoke box. What do you mean hide behind my karaoke box? There is no box. It's just like a table. Actually, I've had a little bit of a problem with the karaoke system, which I noticed on Monday. I seem somehow to have deleted about 8,000 songs. Now, it must have happened on Saturday because I've got two hard disks. Okay, so there's a main one and a backup one. And I've only ever backed it up once, so this was the second time. And I think what's happened is I got confused with the two, because they weren't labelled. And I knew I was going to get confused. I knew I was going to do it. And I've got confused with the two discs, which was the main one and which was the backup one, and I think I've deleted a load of stuff accidentally, so I'm going to have to get that back off someone else somehow. Before you turn up, Brandon, we want to be, you know, at full power before you turn up at one of my karaoke's. Terry says, I'll come with you, Brandon. Been wanting to go to one of Chris's karaoke's. Oh, Terry, you get yourself a train down, wouldn't you? Come along to a karaoke night. And then I think that's a bit... oh, Diana says, what drugs were you on yesterday? Oh, Diana, it's been a long time since I did those naughty little E's. No, I don't... How many years? 9, 10... About 5 years ago when all that stopped. We can't be doing that when we're a little bit older, can we? And Joyce says, you have moved ahead of Mr. You-Know-Who. He sure didn't sing me happy birthday to me. Oh, Joyce, you can't hold that against our Barry. He's a very busy man, dear. You know, if he was to start singing happy... I got cut off again. You know what it is? I get cut off. What happens is I use my Apple iPhone to make the short videos. And if someone rings while I'm trying to make the video cuts off and the call comes through. Now, I must find a way of turning that off. It's most inconvenient, going from one scene to the other like that. Anyway, yes, Joyce, I was saying, you know, if Barry started singing happy birthday to everyone who loves him when it's their birthday, he'd never have time to sing those beautiful songs that we all love, would he? One voice singing in the darkness, all it takes is one voice. La 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 la. One voice. He wouldn't have time, you know. Let's leave Barry to do what he's best at. I'll do what I try to do. Joyce says, you made my birthday perfect. My sweet husband did take me out to dinner and we just got home. Very nice dinner, I might add. Mary, Diana, Eloise, Wendy, I need to know when your birthday is so that we can do the Marilyn Monroe version of Happy Birthday for you. But it will be the Manilow Girls instead. Anyway, you are a very dear man, and we love you. Thank you. Marge, hope you have a great birthday as well. And that's from other birthday person, Joyce, who loves your new car. She likes the look of your new car. All right? Now, what else have we got to talk about today? Oh, yes. Now, you remember I told you my sister's mother-in-law, and of course her husband's mother, died recently. So that was a little while ago now, a couple of weeks ago. And she decided to be cremated, so she was cremated and they've had the ashes. On Friday, so that was like a funeral service, so that was a couple of weeks ago. So Friday, my brother-in-law and sister and their side of the family went down to Roehampton Crematorium, where his father is buried, to do the ashes there. And I spoke to my sister yesterday, and she says, you never guess how much that cost to dig a hole. I said, what? This is Putney Vale Crematorium, run by Wandsworth Council, that's in London. I said, well, why are you digging a hole? She said, to put the ashes. And I said, well, don't you just sprinkle them? She said, well, you can do, or some people bury them. I never knew that. Do you know, I never knew that. I just assumed that you got the ashes, and then if you wanted to sprinkle them on someone's grave, you would literally take the top off and sprinkle them down like that. I mean, obviously standing upwind, you know. I did know someone died about 12 years ago, a very famous drag queen actually, Regina Fong was her name, and she died. And they took her ashes up to the top of a big hill in Hampstead, and then when they took the top off, it all blew back in people's faces. Oh, you shouldn't laugh, really, should you? You know, I mean, if you really love someone, I'm slightly going off subject here. If you really love someone and you want to be cremated, and the other person smokes, what you could do is, after you've died and been cremated, then give yourself back to your loved one to be smoked. I mean, I don't know, I quite like the idea of that. I know a few smokers who I like. When I die, I might decide to be cremated and then have the ashes distributed to my smoking friends to be smoked by them. What sort of... Is that a good idea? Anyway, going back to the story. So I never knew this. I never knew you actually buried someone's ashes rather than sprinkled them everywhere. And she said, how much do you think they charge? I said, oh, well, I don't know. She said, well, it's only a small hole. I said, go on, 500 quid. £500 to dig a hole for ashes? Bloody hell. I mean, that's extortionate, isn't it? £500 for a small hole? It can't be that big. Can only be, you know, a few inches square, can't it? That is shocking. And I said to my sister, why didn't you just do it yourself? She said, we're not allowed to. And I said to her, well, what's the difference between digging a hole for someone's ashes and me going to my mum and dad's grave and digging holes and putting new plants in twice a year? There's no difference, is there? No, but you have to tell them. What? Isn't that disgusting? £500 to dig a smaller... I mean, Christ knows, when it's time for me, you know, I want to be buried, probably buried with my mum and dad. How much are they going to charge to pull up that and make another big hole again? Oh... Look who's making an appearance, you lucky people. Hi, Katie. Come here, darling. I did some flea stuff on her yesterday because I noticed... All right, darling. Okay, babe. I noticed on her back she's been pulling her... Oh, you want to get down? Okay. Oh, sorry. On her back she's got little bits of fur that she's been pulling out due to her getting itchy. Oh, she just dug her claws in my lovely legs. So I'm like, do you like my legs? Are they nice legs? So I'd done the flea stuff on her head. I think she might be getting bitten by fleas or something, I'm not sure. So there we are. I just think that's extortionate, I really do. 2 items of news then. Could a terror camera prevent an attack? Oh yes, apparently this new device, this new camera, will scan crowds of would-be bombers by pinpointing people who seem stressed. Well, that could be all of us, couldn't it? You know, I always stress out when I'm standing in Waitrose trying to decide what type of tea bags to buy. I get so stressed, I'll be picked up straight away. Probably you as well. Or just imagine if they had a camera outside where people are waiting to queue up to get in to see a Barry Manilow concert. That is stress. That is stress. We'd all be dragged off in prison. I'm sorry, you might be a bomber, you're looking stressed. What a bloody stupid idea that is. Where do they come from? And 2 fantastic bits of television news. Now, you know I am a huge fan of Dallas. I loved Dallas in the 80s, and then it disappeared for years and years and years, like 2 decades. Then it came back. I've loved it ever since. Unfortunately, here in the UK, I was in a bit of a minority and the ratings for Dallas haven't done well here at all. When it started back, it got 3 million viewers. At the end of Series 2, they were down to about 320,000, and that's really bad. That's terrible, terrible viewings. And I had a feeling they were going to just drop it before the third series started it. But they haven't. Channel 5 has announced that... Oh, I'm going to sneeze. I'm going to sneeze. Am I? Oh, Christ almighty. Dallas is to return here in the UK on Channel 5 on 3rd of September at 9 PM. Series 3. I'm very, very pleased to hear that. And they've put it back on at 9 PM because some idiot in Channel 5 decided to move it to 11. Well, it lost even more viewers, and so they've moved it back to 9 o'clock. Dallas returns on the 3rd of December 2014 on Channel 5 here in the UK at 9 PM. One other bit more of TV news. A hugely popular show in the 70s, and then it was brought back in the 80s, and then in the 90s. It wasn't very good with Jim Davidson, but the Generation Game is set to return. This was in yesterday's Daily Mail. Popular game show set to be relaunched by the BBC. The BBC One controller says Miranda will bring a very different flavour to it. Yes, Miranda is going to present the Generation Game. This will be interesting. It's always been done by a man before. At its peak, the Generation Game pulled in 20 million viewers, but Miranda Hart said that her involvement is far from definite, so we're not quite sure yet. The story goes on and says, as one of her predecessors, Sir Bruce Forsyth, didn't he do well? She said, didn't she do well? Miranda Hart has been announced as the host of a revival of the Generation Game, making her the first woman to present the show. BBC One confirmed the star of Call the Midwife and sitcom Miranda, which actually I don't like that sitcom. I just don't find it funny. She's in talks with the BBC about the corporation, which is due to return to our screens next year. So I do hope they sort that out and they bring it back. It was basically they'd have two teams, which were kind of two families. They weren't necessarily mum and dad. It could be mum and cousin or mum and nephew. You know, different generations, and they would be given little games to do, or maybe mini plays and things like that. And then at the end, they have this conveyor belt, and there's loads of prizes on the conveyor belt, and they all go past you, and then at the end these doors close, and then you're brought back onto the stage, and you have to remember what was there. So that's great news, the Generation Game. But and I want to play the game with you, yeah. That's it from me today. Oh, one more thing. Angel, dear Angel, who is regular correspondent to this show, I have tried to put your little pictures together. Oh, how many more times will I be cut off? I better go quickly. Anyway, Angel, I was unable to get your pictures to work. They were too small. I don't know why they weren't. They were like small in the middle of the screen. It was difficult to see them, so I won't be able to show people that. But just to let you know that we were talking about building a house the other day, and Angel has built the most wonderful little doll's house, all little rooms and electric lights and things like that. So it just shows you what talent people have. Well done, Angel. I really enjoyed looking at those pictures, my darling. Time to go. Have a nice Wednesday. See you tomorrow.